It's almost Halloween, and Corey has his basket, and he's picked up some Meta and some Google and some Microsoft stock. We know he is, so today we're going to cover the earnings of those three massive companies, as well as what the Fed had to say yesterday. This is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So let's start off with what Chairman Powell said. Forget what Mike and Corey say for a moment. Let's look at what the big chairman says. All right, the Fed comes out. They cut rates again. No big surprise there. We said that on yesterday's show. It was a foregone conclusion. As far as the vote on that, 10 people said cut at a quarter point. That's what they did. One said don't cut. One said cut at 50 basis points. That's as easy a decision as it gets. However, the market reacted. Why did they react? Not because of the cut, because of what Powell said. So what Powell said after that, and that's really what people look for, or at least the markets look for. And I'm scrolling down in here. Here's what he said. Don't assume the next rate cut in December is a sure thing. Big deal. I mean, that's what markets do. We don't know anything's a for sure thing. I say Powell's being a responsible adult and not saying we're going to give you more candy in December. You got your Halloween candy. Now we're not promising Christmas candy either. So that's what he's saying. He's saying we're going to see what happens with inflation. We're going to see what happens with the jobs. We're going to see how this proceeds, and then we'll decide in December. So how'd the market react? They sold off a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a massive sell-off, but it definitely went down a little after 2 o'clock. So nothing surprising there. It is interesting that the traders, they're already anticipating. They lowered the odds of a Fed December cut rate to 67%. There's a 2/3 chance of getting candy rather than a 90% chance. So anyways, we'll see what happens going forward. More exciting is Microsoft, and then Meta, and then Google came out with their earnings. So I'm going to cover Microsoft real quick. Corey, anything on the Fed and Chairman Powell?
No, you got it.
All right, okay. So Microsoft comes out with earnings, and they beat on earnings and revenue. Yay! So the quarterly report card on Microsoft says, you did better than we expected. That's great. But the stock has dropped just a little bit, 2% as of right now, because they say, we're going to spend more. We're going to spend more. Now, why is that bad when a company spends more? Well, if they were spending irresponsibly, that's one thing. But if they say we're spending more because we see great investment opportunities, ways to beat our competitors, well, we should want them to spend more. I would rather Microsoft invest their cash rather than pay me out a dividend, and then I just turn around and reinvest it. So what are things that they spend on? OpenAI, which we just talked about a few days ago, which is ChatGPT. The share, which that seems pretty cheap, just by itself. But they also have their Azure, which competes with Amazon's web services, their cloud, and a host of other things. So, and right here, I want to highlight this part right here. Capital expenditures. They're building the infrastructure to support AI demand. This is a good thing. I've seen other articles on this that say, I want to see these big companies increase their cap expenditure. That means they're building the vertical resources to run AI. So anyways, overall, the stock is down. Look at this. It's already, Corey, it's down to, let's see here. It's only down 1.5%. I had a 6-month graph. So this is about a 6-month graph. And the last point, you can see it just dropped a little bit off the high. So the first of these three down 1.6% on the Fed news as well. I call this neutral, but they beat revenue, they beat earnings, they announced some initiatives going forward. I'm not worried about this one. But Corey, I know we got more exciting stuff with Meta and Google, so take us to
Yeah,
those.
let me hop over. So you mentioned, Mike, that investors are reacting to that CapEx spend from these companies. And is Microsoft Microsoft's projecting higher spend? Are they really being punished? The stock price, not at all. A 1% move is just a normal move. There's nothing negative about a 1% move. But that's not so true for Meta. Meta projected the same thing. Hey, we're accelerating CapEx spend. They're down 12%. Oh man, must have had a bad quarter. Well, they didn't have a bad quarter. Revenues grew faster than Microsoft, faster than Google, faster than all the Mag 7s, aside from, of course, NVIDIA. So Meta's growing revenue much faster than its peers in the Mag 7, from 40 billion a year ago in the year ago quarter to 51 billion in this current quarter that they released yesterday. But Mike, that's so some people on TV or in other podcasts, they might tell you that Meta is being punished because they are increasing what was it? They are increasing their capital expenditures quickly. But Microsoft's doing the same thing. It's not because I would argue that Meta is being distinctly punished not because they are increasing their capital expenditures related to AI. It's my belief Meta is being punished by the market because the market now thinks they're losing the AI race. I think the market is crowning Google, Microsoft as the current leaders there, and primarily Google at this point. So if you look at valuations, Meta had traded at a premium valuation to Google for a very long time. Google traded as the discounted Mag 7 stock. Well, if you go and look, as of today, that has flipped. Discounted stock, and the market thinks they're going to lose AI, and the market thinks that Meta is actually wasting money with some of this, because why spend all this if you're going to lose the AI race? So anyway, Mike, I think that's why Meta is being punished today. I think the market is honing in a little more on Google as the leader there. What do you think about that dynamic between the two of them?
Wow, it's interesting because, a few years ago you say Meta is Facebook, social media, and you say Google is search. And in NVIDIA is chips, and Microsoft is office software. I mean, Amazon is retail sales as well as the web services. But what's happening, and then of course you got Tesla out there too. So all these companies are moving into each other's territory. Now, I shouldn't say all of them, but we saw NVIDIA's talking about getting into self-driving cars, or Apple was talking the same. So they're getting into Tesla's business. And it's like there's so much money out there with AI that it's almost like they're all coming to a head. Not all of them, but they're starting to battle for the same thing. Google, what was it, only I want to say we did podcast a year and a half ago where we Google's falling behind because of ChatGPT / Microsoft, and now we're seeing Google hit all-time highs. So, anyways, take us to Google.
Yeah. So Google, again, notice not growing revenues as fast as Meta. Obviously, they're growing revenues larger than Meta. They're a lot larger company than Meta, but wait, I have the wrong quarter here. They hit 100 billion in this quarter. Oh my gosh, I'm a few quarters behind here. Hold on. All right, that's more like it. 100 billion in revenue for the quarter. Their first $100 billion quarter. And yeah, quite a bit bigger company than Meta, not growing quite as quick. But notice revenue acceleration. 15% in the year ago quarter, 16% in this quarter. And there is nothing investors love quite as much as some revenue acceleration and maybe some margin expansion. People get real excited about that. But Google, they're holding their ground, and they are now being viewed. Go look at the stock price. Investors are voting with their dollars. They are being viewed as the current AI leader. And of course, they had a great quarter, in every segment, and Microsoft did too. So that's really all I have on that.
Google? What's Google up today?
It's up 3% right now, but the market is a little heavy today. So the market's down about 1% almost.
So overall, when we look at these three students, and I like the student analogy, all three students, they beat revenue, they beat earnings, they got good grades on what we were expecting. So there we got to put that out there. And what they project forward is all three of them say, we're going to work even harder. We're going to get even better grades, but only one can be the valedictorian, right? So we're starting to see, and I mean, I don't think Google's totally won it, just because I think Microsoft / OpenAI is also competing. But then, maybe Meta's like, we'll be the, what is it called, a salutatorian? I can't remember what second place is. I wasn't first or second, so that's why it doesn't. I don't remember. But
didn't have that problem. Yeah, me neither. I didn't have that problem.
But it's interesting to go. So and then what, later this week, next week, we're going to be talking about some other ones.
Yeah, well, today we get Apple and Amazon. So more tomorrow.
Wow, Apple and Amazon will fill the basket. Fill your Halloween basket with Apple and Amazon next. Anything else for today?
Well, I got a little sentiment story. You want to hear something interesting?
Yes.
All right, Mike, we're at lunch yesterday, right? We're talking tax strategies, business is a business work lunch. And we're talking at first just about the market. And somebody at the table made a comment that, they don't see anybody like really doing any behaviors that are out of the norm, like being too bullish, basically, too bullish, okay? I kid you not. A minute later, the guy at the table next to me, so he's sitting like 18 inches behind me, I hear him say, check this out. Here's my trade sheet. And I was like, trade sheet? What? And so he pulls out his computer, opens it up. He has an Excel file on there called like trade sheet or trade log or something. And he starts bragging to his friend. He's made $13,000 doing these trades in the last month. And he's going, and I just barely peeked over my shoulder. I was eavesdropping very heavily at this point. And he was doing quite a bit with Robinhood stock. I did know that. And he had done some good things, right? He was up big. And I get last night. And then meanwhile, but they were saying, on my table, it was like, I'm not seeing anything out of the norm. Mike, I have never seen somebody whip out a computer, an Excel sheet to show off their trade log to their friend over lunch. I've never seen that. And I've gone to a lot of lunch. All right. Here's what I don't know why this video popped up on my feed last night on YouTube, but there was this guy. He has no views, right? It's like the smallest YouTube channel. I don't know why it popped up. But I heard a few seconds of it. And right at the beginning, he said he's gone all in on Meta, and he's on margin. He's margined up, leveraged up his account to go all in on Meta. And he hit a new all-time high yesterday.
Oh, I hope he sold.
No, he didn't sell. He was bragging about he was waiting for it to pop above 800 before earnings.
Oh my.
So that he could get off a margin and everything would be okay. He'd be up big. Well, Meta's down 12%. He also has some puts here that he's exposed to. He doesn't share the price. So he's down. He's leveraged up $300 or 300 shares of Meta. And he's down how much on Meta? How much is Meta down? About $100 a share today. So he's down on a small account. He's down 30,000 on this stock. And he could be down as much as 10,000 on one of these puts. I don't know what he's got. So, it's out. The sentiment stuff out there is like, is everybody, people can really hurt themselves during times like this. And I would say some of the pulling out your sheet at lunch is a little euphoric. I've never seen that before. So anyway,
people pull it out when they win, when they're up, but when they lose, like, and I can't, when I see that kind of story, and I'm not familiar with that, but it's like, and I get the question, what do you think about day trading? What do you think? I get it, I don't know, every once in a while, once a week, and I'm like, don't do it unless you think you are better than the $1 million plus day traders that sit in New York City on Wall Street. They graduated from Harvard or MIT, but probably not Texas A&M. Just kidding. But those people are taking your money. They will. Day trading is a zero-sum game. For every winner, there's a loser, as opposed to investing where we can all win together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when that guy makes his little spreadsheet, he may win a little, and then lose a lot, and he will be down. So
well, I didn't hear about any losses. He didn't say anything about any losses.
Not yet. You need to log into that channel and see what it is after today. I'd be real interested. Send me the link. I'll take a look at it.
Well, I might, yeah, now I might be a big fan of that YouTube channel now. But anyway, hey,
if he reports the truth out, maybe we'll bring him on the show and be like, what do you think about day trading now? We'll get his 2 cents. But
all right, that's all I've got.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.